Wait, stop scrolling. Take a breath. Because what I'm about to reveal today could completely change the way you look at the dollar coins hiding across America. What if I told you that inside ordinary drawers, old jars, old wallets, and forgotten collections are Mercury one-dime silver-colored coins worth up to $800,000 or even more? Yes, coins that many people ignore, toss aside, or spend without a second thought could actually be hidden treasures. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of Mercury one-dime silver second-place metal coins. Coins with iconic designs, rich American history, and unbelievable value that most people never realize they have. In this video, we'll explore the top 5 most valuable, expensive, and ultra-rare Mercury one-dime coins ever discovered in the United States. These coins are highly sought after by serious collectors, coin dealers, and smart investors who know exactly what to look for. We'll break down rare P, D, and S mint marks, golden alloy composition and color variations, proof coins and dramatic mint errors, and coins that look dirty, worn, or completely ordinary, but could secretly be worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars today. So before you spend another dollar coin, make sure you watch this video all the way to the end, because coin number 1 might already be sitting in your home right now. Next up, coin number 1. The 1920 Mercury dime with no mint mark is the kind of coin that can sit quietly in an old jar, a dusty envelope, a broken coin album, or the bottom of a family drawer for decades while nobody realizes that it carries real collector interest, deep American history, and the kind of mystery that makes serious coin hunters stop everything and look twice. It is small, it is silver, it is old, and that combination alone is enough to make experienced collectors pay attention. But what makes this coin truly powerful is not just its age or its metal. It is the story, the symbolism, the survival, and the fact that even a worn example still carries the energy of another era. The first thing you need to understand is that this is not just some old dime. The 1920 Mercury dime belongs to one of the most beloved and visually dramatic coin series ever struck in the United States of America. It was produced by the United States Mint, and because your coin has no mint mark, that means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. For collectors, that no mint mark detail is not empty trivia. It tells you where the coin was born, and in coin collecting, birthplace matters because every mint had its own habits, die quality, striking characteristics, and survival patterns. Now here is something important and very exciting. Despite the nickname Mercury dime, this coin does not actually show the Roman god Mercury. That is one of the biggest myths in American coin collecting. The portrait on the front is actually Liberty, wearing a winged cap. The wings symbolize freedom of thought, but over time, people thought the portrait looked like Mercury, the messenger god from Roman mythology, and the nickname stuck forever. That mistaken identity became part of the coin's legend, and today almost nobody calls it by its official name. It is the Mercury dime in the minds of collectors, and that name alone has become iconic. When you hold a 1920 Mercury dime, you are holding a coin from a world that looked completely different from ours. This coin came from the early 20th century, a period when the United States was changing fast. Industries were growing, cities were expanding, automobiles were transforming transportation, and the country was stepping into a new kind of modern life. The people who first spent this dime may have used it for newspapers, coffee, train fare, candy, or lunch, never imagining that more than a century later, someone would be staring at the same piece of silver and wondering whether it could be valuable. And yes, this coin is silver. That matters. Unlike many later dimes that are made from copper and nickel, the 1920 Mercury dime was struck in 90% silver. That alone gives it an instant layer of appeal. Even in heavily worn condition, it is not just an old coin. It is a precious metal coin from a vanished age. It has intrinsic silver content, historical charm, and collector demand all working together. That is exactly why Mercury dimes remain so popular generation after generation. The front design of the coin is one of the greatest artistic achievements in U.S. coin history. Liberty's profile looks graceful but strong, elegant but determined. The winged cap gives the portrait movement and energy, almost as if the coin itself is alive. The word liberty stretches around the top, and the date 1920 sits below. The motto, "I in God we trust," appears to the left. Everything about the design feels refined, balanced, and deeply American. Even worn examples still carry visual beauty that modern coins often struggle to match. Then you turn the coin over, and the reverse tells a completely different story. On the back is a fasces, a bundle of rods with an axe, symbolizing strength and unity, wrapped together with an olive branch representing peace. That pairing is brilliant. Strength and peace, power and restraint, national readiness and hope. It is one of the most meaningful reverses ever used on a small U.S. coin, and when you understand what it represents, the coin becomes even more powerful. Now let's talk about value, because this is where people either get excited too early or miss something important. A 1920 Mercury dime with no mint mark is not one of the rarest dates in the entire Mercury dime series, but it is absolutely a respected collector coin. In very worn, dirty, circulated condition, it usually carries a value above face simply because of its silver content and collector demand. Nobody serious looks at a genuine 1920 Mercury dime and says, "That's just 10 cents. Not anymore. That time is long gone. But here is the truth most casual people never hear. Condition changes everything. A 1920 Mercury dime that is heavily worn, flat, dark, and scratched might still be collectible, but it will live in a very different value world than a sharply detailed coin with clean surfaces and original luster. This is where fortunes in coin collecting are made, not always by the rarest date, but by the best surviving examples. A common or semi-common coin in extraordinary condition can often beat a scarcer coin in ugly shape. Collectors look very closely at how much detail remains in Liberty's hair, the wing feathers on the cap, the cheek, the jawline, and especially the horizontal bands on the fasces on the reverse. Those tiny design areas tell a huge story about strike strength and wear. A coin with strong bands and crisp definition often commands much more attention than one with soft or weak detail. In high-grade collecting, these little differences are not little at all. They are everything. This is exactly why so many Mercury dimes get underestimated. They are small, and many of them look old but ordinary to untrained eyes. But to a serious collector, a nice Mercury dime is never ordinary. It is silver art from another century. And when a 1920 example survives with strong eye appeal, smooth original surfaces, and minimal damage, it can become very desirable very quickly. Now let's get into the hidden danger zone, the place where valuable coins are lost forever. Cleaning. This is where countless people accidentally destroy collector value. They find a dark old silver dime and think, "I should make this shiny." So they grab baking soda, silver polish, toothpaste, vinegar, or a rough cloth and start rubbing. That one bad decision can ruin the coin's surface permanently. Once original texture is stripped away and replaced by unnatural shine and hairline scratches, experienced collectors notice immediately. A naturally aged coin can still be valuable. A harshly cleaned one often loses much of the premium it might have had. That is why smart collectors follow one golden rule: never clean old coins. If it looks dirty, leave it dirty. Dirt is better than damage. Toning is better than polishing. Originality is king. The surface of a coin is like its skin, and once it is damaged, it can never truly be restored. If you think your 1920 Mercury dime might be special, the safest thing you can do is protect it, not improve it. Now let's talk about why people whisper about crazy values like $100,000 or more. Next up, the 1924 Mercury dime with no mint mark is one of those coins that does not scream for attention at first glance. It is small, dark, often worn, and easy to dismiss as old pocket change. But in the world of rare coins, that quiet appearance is exactly what makes it dangerous to overlook. A coin like this can sit in a forgotten box, an inherited jar, a dresser drawer, or the bottom of an old album for decades while nobody around it realizes it carries silver, history, artistry, collector demand, and in the right condition, real money. The first thing you need to know is that this coin was struck in the United States of America by the United States Mint. And because your coin has no mint mark, it means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. In the coin world, no mint mark does not mean something is missing. It is actually a location clue. Philadelphia coins from this era often carry no letter at all, and that tiny detail instantly tells collectors where the coin came from. When you are dealing with old U.S. coins, mint location matters because it affects rarity, survival rates, strike quality, and long-term collector demand. Now let's clear up one of the biggest misunderstandings in coin collecting. Even though almost everyone calls this coin the Mercury dime, the face on the front is not actually Mercury, the Roman messenger god. It is Liberty wearing a winged cap. Those wings symbolize freedom of thought, but over time, people thought the design looked like Mercury, and the nickname stuck permanently. That accidental nickname became legendary, and today it is one of the most recognizable coin names in American numismatics. In other words, this dime is famous not only for what it is, but also for what people thought it was. And this is where the coin becomes more than money. The Mercury dime is widely considered one of the most beautiful small coins the United States ever made. The portrait on the front has elegance, movement, and character that modern coins often struggle to match. Liberty's expression is calm but strong, and the winged cap gives the design energy and life. The word Liberty curves around the upper edge, while the date 1924 anchors the lower part of the coin. Even if the piece is worn, the design still carries visual power. That is one of the reasons collectors love this series so deeply. Turn the coin over, and the reverse is just as meaningful. On the back, you will find a fasces, which is a bundle of rods tied together with an axe, representing authority and strength through unity. Wrapped beside it is an olive branch, the timeless symbol of peace. Together, these two images create one of the strongest symbolic statements ever placed on a U.S. dime. Strength without chaos, power with balance, readiness with restraint. That is part of what makes this coin feel so important. It is not just silver. It is symbolism frozen into metal. And yes, this coin is silver, and that matters a lot. The 1924 Mercury dime was struck in 90% silver, which instantly gives it a level of importance that later clad dimes do not have. Even if your coin is heavily worn, scratched, or dark from age, it still belongs to the precious metal era of American coinage. That alone makes it more desirable than a modern dime. But silver is only the beginning. The real excitement comes when silver meets history, rarity, condition, and collector demand. When this coin entered circulation in 1924, the world was very different. America was living in the aftermath of war, industry was growing, cities were changing, and daily life revolved around physical money in a way younger generations can barely imagine. A dime was not a forgettable object back then. It had real buying power. It moved through grocery counters, rail stations, cafes, barbershops, soda fountains, and department stores. This little coin may have passed through thousands of hands over a century, and every scratch, rub, and patch of wear is part of that journey. Now let's get to the question everyone really cares about. Is a 1924 no-mint Mark Mercury dime valuable? The answer is yes, but the size of that value depends on a few critical things. A heavily worn example is usually worth far more than face value simply because it is silver and collectible. Nobody who understands coins looks at a genuine 1924 Mercury dime and says, that's just 10 cents. That chapter ended a very long time ago. But not every 1924 dime is a jackpot. Most ordinary circulated examples are collectible, historical, and desirable, but they are not automatic six-figure treasures. Where things get truly exciting is condition. In coin collecting, condition is not a small detail. It is often the difference between a nice collectible and a serious money coin. A dull, dark, heavily worn 1924 Mercury dime may still be loved by collectors, but a sharply preserved example with clean surfaces, strong original luster, and crisp details enters a completely different universe. That is where the hobby becomes thrilling, because the same date can exist in two wildly different value worlds depending on how well it survived. Collectors pay close attention to the fine details on Mercury dimes. They look at Liberty's hair, the wing feathers on the cap, the cheek, the jawline, and especially the bands on the fasces on the reverse. Those bands tell a major story. If they are weak, worn, or soft, the coin may be less impressive. But if they are strong and well-defined, collectors often get much more interested. In higher grades, details like that can separate a modest coin from a standout piece. This is why so many potentially valuable coins are lost in plain sight. People see an old silver dime and think age alone decides everything. It does not. A 1924 Mercury dime in ordinary shape may be collectible, but a gorgeous, well-preserved example is where real collector competition begins. Some of the strongest prices in the hobby are paid not just for rarity, but for quality. Beautiful coins attract money. Ugly ones usually do not. And here comes the trap that destroys value every year: cleaning. This is where countless people accidentally turn a potentially strong coin into a damaged one. They find an old silver dime, think it looks dirty, and decide to help it. They use toothpaste, baking soda, silver polish, vinegar, or a rough cloth. That one bad choice can permanently scar the coin's surface. Once original texture is stripped away and replaced by unnatural shine or hairline scratches, experienced collectors notice immediately. A naturally toned coin can be very desirable. A harshly cleaned one often loses much of its premium. So if you ever find a 1924 Mercury dime, the smartest thing you can do is almost nothing. Do not polish it. Do not scrub it. Do not dip it in chemicals. Protect it. Now let's talk about the wild numbers people love to throw around. $50, $000, $100,000, even $200,000 or more. Is every 1924 no-mint Mark Mercury dime worth that kind of money? No, and anyone who tells you that is selling fantasy. But could a truly elite example, one with extraordinary preservation? Next up, the 1940 Mercury dime is not just another old 10-cent piece. It is one of those coins that can look ordinary to almost everyone except the people who truly understand what they are seeing. Small size, old silver, classic design, a respected mint mark, and the possibility of hidden premium value. Those are the ingredients that make a coin dangerous to overlook. And when that coin is a Mercury dime, the excitement gets even bigger. The first thing you need to know is that the S mint mark on your 1940 Mercury dime means it was struck at the San Francisco Mint, part of the United States Mint in the United States of America. That tiny little letter on the back of the coin, near the bottom beside the fasces, changes the identity of the piece instantly. In coin collecting, a mint mark is not decoration. It is a birthplace, and birthplace matters. It affects how many were made, how sharply they were struck, how many survived, and how much collector demand exists today. Now here's something almost everyone gets wrong at first. The Mercury dime is not actually showing Mercury. That famous winged figure on the front is Liberty, not the Roman messenger god. The design became so legendary that the nickname Mercury dime completely took over American coin culture. But technically this coin is a winged Liberty head dime. The reason people thought it was Mercury is because Liberty's winged cap looks mythological and dramatic. But those wings were meant to symbolize freedom of thought, not a Roman deity. That mistaken identity became part of the coin's magic, and today the nickname is almost more famous than the official name. The front of the 1940 Mercury dime is one of the most admired coin designs ever placed on a small American coin. Liberty's portrait has movement, elegance, and personality. It does not look stiff or lifeless. It feels like it belongs to a proud, energetic nation moving forward. The word Liberty arches around the edge. The date 1940 sits below, and the motto, "I in God we trust," anchors the left side. Even heavily circulated examples often still look beautiful, and that is one of the reasons this series never loses its popularity. Then you turn the coin over, and the reverse tells an even deeper story. There you see the fasces, a bundle of rods bound together with an axe. symbolizing authority and unity. Beside it is an olive branch, representing peace. That combination is not random. It reflects a national message: strength when needed, peace when possible. For a coin for 1940, that symbolism feels especially powerful because the world at that moment was entering one of the most tense and dangerous periods in modern history. That is where this coin becomes more than collectible silver. The year 1940 sits right on the edge of global transformation. Europe was already in chaos, war was expanding, and although the United States had not yet fully entered the conflict, the atmosphere of uncertainty, preparation, and national tension was already in the air. This little silver dime was born during a time when the world was changing fast, and people did not yet know how dramatic the coming years would become. That gives the coin an emotional and historical weight far beyond its 10-cent face value. And yes, this coin is silver, and that matters immediately. The 1940 Mercury dime was struck in 90% silver, which means even worn examples hold more than just historical interest. They belong to the old precious metal era of American coinage, when everyday pocket change still contained real silver. That fact alone gives the coin a level of importance that modern clad dimes simply do not have. But silver is only one part of the story. The real collector excitement comes when silver meets design, mint mark, condition, and preservation. Now let's talk value, because this is where dreams and reality need to meet honestly. A 1940 Mercury dime is a real collectible coin, but not every example is a jackpot. In worn, circulated condition, it is typically worth far more than face value because of its silver content and collector demand. Nobody who knows coins looks at a genuine 1940 Mercury dime and says, "That's just 10 cents. That chapter is over forever." But if your goal is the big money category, the kind of values that make collectors' hearts race, you need something more than age and silver. You need quality. And this is where the 1940 gets really interesting. San Francisco Mercury dimes are watched closely by collectors because strike quality can matter a lot. Some coins came out sharp and crisp, while others were softer in the details. That means two coins with the exact same date and mint mark can live in completely different value universes depending on how well they were struck and how well they survived. This is why one coin can be nice, while another becomes serious. Collectors study the fine details of Mercury dimes intensely. They look at Liberty's hair, the feathers on the winged cap, the cheek, the jawline, and especially the reverse bands across the fasces. Those bands are one of the most important clues in the entire series. If the horizontal bands are fully separated and sharply defined, the coin often gets much more collector attention. That is because sharp bands signal a strong strike and better overall quality. In the Mercury dime world, that little detail can mean a lot. This is also why some of the most expensive examples are not necessarily the rarest dates. They're the best preserved survivors. A 1940 Mercury dime in dull, dark, worn condition may still be collectible and loved, but a blazing high-grade example with sharp detail, original luster, and outstanding eye appeal could become dramatically more valuable. That is where collectors start competing hard, because top-end quality coins are not common even when the date itself is not the absolute rarest in the series. And now we come to one of the biggest ways people destroy value without realizing it: cleaning. This is where good coins go bad. Somebody finds an old silver dime, thinks it looks dirty, and decides to make it pretty. They rub it with a cloth, polish it, dip it in silver cleaner, use baking soda, toothpaste, or even vinegar. That one decision can permanently damage the surfaces. Once original mint texture is replaced by scratches, artificial brightness, or dead-looking metal, serious collectors can spot it instantly. A naturally toned coin can still be very desirable. A harshly cleaned coin often loses a major chunk of its collector appeal. So if you find a 1940 Now let's talk about the big fantasy numbers people love to throw around. $50, 000, $100,000, even $200,000 or more. Is every 1940 Mercury dime worth that? Absolutely not. Most are not even close.